Welcome to FlashPoint. I'm Gene Baylor. Glad you're with us. I've got a lot going on here. Look at I've got new guests out here. Good friend Seth Gruber. Seth, good to see you. Joel Penton, Lifewise Academy, and Ed Rush. Okay, there we go. So let's talk about, I'll start with you, Seth, since you're close to me. Real quick, Last Stand, what's the update?
Oh, yeah, so when a culture embraces, like, sodomy, like gay orgy sex, kill the babies, orgasms without responsibility, idols, that's where civilizations and societies die. That's how they commit civilizational suicide. So we're literally in a season of the Last Stand. And there's this powerful sort of study. It was done like 91 years ago. It's called Sex and Culture. Sociologist. He's been buried by the liberal academic left. And he looked at he looked at 86 civilizations over 5,000 years and found a 100% correlation between sexual, monogamous, heterosexual, marriage-based cultures and cultural energy, strength, and advancement. And a 100% correlation between Free the Libido, Woodstock, Palais Royale, Margaret Sanger, Kamala Harris, Sleep Your Way Up the Levers of Power, Total Sexual Freedom, and cultural decay, death, and you're done. And once a society embraces total sexual freedom, within 3 generations, they're taken over by a society with greater cultural energy. So I can go to the whole history of it, but like we're approaching the 3rd and final chapter. Unless we get back to rebuilding the foundations, Christian nationalism, everything these guys are doing right here, raising little dragon slayers, outbreeding the pagans and outbreeding the Islamists. Until we do that, we're done, we're screwed. You will not make America great again until we get back to those foundations. So that's what we're focused on, is the Last Stand Film Festival, making the church flatulent, the church militant.
I like okay. How can people stay in touch with Last Stand?
Yeah, go to thelaststand.com. Thelaststand.com. It's a book, a film, and a festival, June 5th and 6th in Denver at Brave Church. Get your tickets now. Steve Days, Allie Beth Stuckey, Rob McCoy, Andrew Cedra, Frank Turek. I mean, like, they're going to rip your face off. Yeah.
Yeah, well, in a good way. He means that a good thing. Joel Penton, listen, good to have you, Joel. Listen, Lifewise, you guys have been in the news a little bit.
We have.
You've been pushing back a little bit. Let's talk about that. Bring us an update.
Yeah, well, just as a reminder, Lifewise, we do Bible education for public school students during school hours.
Which is radical.
It sounds radical. We know the Bible's been removed from public schools. Few people are aware the Supreme Court has said public school students can be released from public school during the school day to get Bible education. It does have to be off school
We're talking
property.
Public schools.
That's right.
Make sure everybody goes, people think, oh, you're talking about Christian. No, he's talking about public schools.
Public
they can
schools,
do that.
It's during the school day. It's off-site. We take kids off-site to a church normally, teach them the Bible, bring them back. It's exploding across the country. We now have interest. We've had inquiries from more than 80% of every school district across the country. Our goal was 25 schools by 2025. We're now in over 1,000 schools across more than 35 states. And in almost every case, it goes smooth. It's great. Everybody loves it. There's the rare instance when somebody who is so against teaching kids the Bible that they put up a fight. And in Everett, Washington, a school board right outside Seattle, a school board member came out in a school board meeting and publicly said he holds animus toward Lifewise Academy, and they have changed their policies. Now, among the many policy changes, when a kid comes to Lifewise in Everett, Washington, if we give them our textbook, which is a Bible, and they take it back, it has to go back in a sealed envelope so that other kids aren't exposed to it. And so that, among other policies...
You're a Christian nationalist, then.
We've been accused of that.
So can they carry the Quran back in in public school?
I don't know about any of those details.
Joel, come on!
Our attorneys will only allow me to say certain things. I know this. If we give a kid a Bible, it's got to be in an envelope. And so for that reason, among several others, we are now in a federal lawsuit. And all we're asking for is to be treated like any other group.
Dang. That tells you everything you need to know about the West right now, by the way. It's either Christian nationalism or sex cult globalism. The kids can bring porn into the school in their pocket, but a Bible has to be checked at the door. Dude, this guy right here, Gene.
All right. In fact, the attack on Western civilization is growing. It hasn't gone. You just heard about it. Watch this.
50 million Muslims now live in Europe. At the turn of the century, that number was less than 500,000, and more are arriving every day. As the people who lead these countries try to do what Joe Biden tried to do here and that is fundamentally change the racial and ethnic makeup of a nation and make white Christians a minority in their own country. In England alone, right now, 10 major cities, including London, now have Muslim mayors in a nation that was built around the Church of England. Muslims are now running major cities across the country for the first time in history, and the English want us to believe that this is all normal.
The Muslim will come out and he will stand for truth and he will stand for justice. May Allah give us the ability to stand for the haqq.
So this is not the Middle East, it's not East Minneapolis even, that is England. And when you see images like that, you can't help but ask why anyone, a prime minister or a president or a king, would deliberately try to destroy their own country. Why would you do that? Why is this being done? And because European leaders still celebrate our failed experiment in open borders, it failed here in the United States, and because they've chosen to stand with radical Muslims over their own people, it's because of all of these reasons these countries are falling apart and failing as the attack on Western civilization continues.
You know, I don't understand, gentlemen, why we have this. I feel like I have to continually, Ed, I'll go to you first. I have to continually bring it up so people understand this is really going on. And people are busy with their lives. They're happy their gas price is down. They're happy, you know, they're some great things Trump did, but they're not understanding the danger that we're in, Ed.
First of all, Gene, good afternoon and welcome
Good
to
afternoon.
NRB. This is
Thank you.
literally my first day I've ever been here.
Well, thank you.
I never considered myself a national religious broadcaster, I guess, until now. And I have you to thank. About half of the people who recognize me say, "Hey, Ed," and about half of the people say, "Hey, that's the guy with the plant." So that's your fault. I just want to let you know. We have to talk about that. So
You're welcome.
But anyway, on to the subject. You know, I was talking to a friend of mine this morning, and he said, you know, God is the great I am. And if God's the great I am, that means the enemy is the great I am not. And we actually fight with an advantage every single time we fight. I think that's why it's so important to understand the actual battlefield that we're in, right? So when I joined the Marine Corps, I raised my right hand and swore to defend the Constitution of the United States against enemies, foreign and domestic. I spent about the first 20 years doing it against enemies foreign, and now I'm basically defending our Constitution against enemies domestic. It's actually inside. And when you saw the clip of what's happening across the world in England, it's literally the thing we're being accused of. Like, we're being accused of wanting our people to be in charge. We're called Christian nationalists because we want our people to be in charge. And when I got blasted on the show, or blasted for being on the show 6 months ago, I said, look, we're just being consistent. We're just being consistent. You can see that other culture groups and other religions want their people in charge. We're simply being consistent, but we believe that our message is actually a message of hope, of peace, of love, of joy, and it actually makes better people and more prosperous people. So I actually think we're making great strides, thanks to this show, frankly, and to the movement that has been started.
That's right. Joel, I mean, whatever your attorneys will let you say. But what you're doing is, in many ways, more on the front line. What we're talking about it, but what you're doing with the kids is really the front lines. And it's always amazing to me how it's like you have to really do your research. You have to really figure out what's legal. Meanwhile, the other side can do whatever they want, but you better toe the line because that Bible is an inflammatory book.
Well, one of the things we're grateful for is that it is so clearly legal. The Supreme Court has ruled on this. More than half of the states in the nation have laws on the books about release time. But you said it, this is the front lines. This is the tip of the spear in terms of this is our future. Our students, you know, there are future leaders, there are future politicians, there are future doctors, there are future attorneys. And so if we don't get the Bible to them, if we don't provide them with a biblical worldview, what does our future look like? And so what we're proposing, which is to reinstall Bible education for every one of the 13,000 school districts nationwide, we know it's a big project. It's going to cost a lot, but we keep asking, what does it cost us if we don't get the Word of God to the next generation? And that costs us too much.
That's so true. All right, Seth, I know you're chomping at the bit, so I want to, you know, you homeschooler, you know,
Homeschooled.
You know, the homeschool, for all of you who bash homeschoolers, now you're going, we should have done that. You know, we should have done that. but the movement that was started with that, thank God that we did have homeschool has grown in America in what you're doing. So I know you're a product of that. But I said this on the show, and that's why I'm thankful for Lifewise and what they're doing.
Amen.
But if my kids were little right now,
Yep.
I don't think I would put them in a public school.
Yeah,
Now I know what you're saying. How are you going to ever change public school unless we go in and do it? I get that. But depending on where and I know that there are pockets around the country that are
of course
kind of these wonderful havens of reality and believe in the Bible and stuff in their public schools. And I was blessed with my kids to be able to send them to those schools. But the reality is it's not that way now. Where I live now, I wouldn't put them there. I would have to look at either a Christian school, but the Christian schools, some of them are just as bad because that's where the parents send all their trouble kids to the Christian school. My son, okay, I'm going to rant here a minute. My son, who went to public school, learned all his cuss words from his friends at the Christian school. And I'm like, where did you learn that? Oh, at this school,
Yep.
So, I mean, this is why we have to look at alternative ways to educate.
Yeah, I mean, so discipleship is inevitable. That's what Gene Bailey's saying. Discipleship is inevitable. Like, imagine if you were like, oh, hey, we got all these like mosques and they're like doing like an Islamist faith thing. Like, you should send your kids there. Most Christians, would be like, what? No. Right? Or if you were like, hey, it's a cultural Marxist school. The Frankfurt School launched a lot of these like little schools here in the major cities, and they got gay porn, and they got critical race theory, and they read Antonio Gramsci, whose books were translated by Pete Buttigieg's father into English so that American leftists could read it and understand the strategy of the robes, which is the inversion of the Great Commission, which is to go to the very ends of the earth, making disciples, and they just inverted the Christian command, and they used it for the School of Cultural Marxism. And any Christian would be like, no, I would never send my kid to a school like that. That's what you're doing. That's what the public schools are. You think public education is neutral? Madeleine Murray O'Hair, the woman who made the crusade to remove the Bible from the schools that this guy's like restoring, she was a Marxist. It's like, oh, I thought Marxism died with Marx. I thought that was like an economic theory. No, it got translated into the culture war. This whole plot was hatched. There was this whole book written called Tragedy and Hope, A History of the World in Our Time, by the guy who was like the mentor to Bill and Hillary Clinton. And in 1966, it was due to be released by Macmillan. And right before it was released, the people he was writing about, tracing the history of the liberal establishment, the long march through the institutions, the strategy of the robes, which is what Antonio Gramsci referred it to before he was thrown in prison by Mussolini, all these people go, don't release the book, don't reveal the plan. And all the books are destroyed except for one box that gets snuck out by a warehouse worker. My mentor, George Grant, has one of those books. And there's nothing incendiary about it, Gene. It wasn't like a QAnon thing. It was basically like the Marxists decided, instead of burning down Minneapolis and Ferguson and setting up a police-free zone called Chaz Chop in Seattle, we need to focus on the long march through the institutions, the strategy of the robes. Let's get the robes of the clergy, the robes of the higher sciences, Fauci and Francis Collins, the robes of the education. Let's start with the universities, and in short order, we'll get the public high schools as well. But where did they get this idea from? They got that from the Bible. That's what we were told to do. Yeah. And most of these people, by a lot of the Marxists, they were raised in basically like junior high school seminaries, Christian education.
Right.
They knew the stories of the Bible, Gene. They knew Luke when he says like the kings of the Gentiles lord it over the people. They lord their power. It's a term that means they pose as the benefactors. They pretend to care. It's very Machiavellian. They pretend to care about the masses right before they screw them. It's better to appear virtuous than to actually be virtuous. That's our job.
Ed, this is why you don't drink coffee sometimes. Do you drink coffee?
Sometimes.
Yeah. What did you drink today?
An Americano.
Okay, there you go. Ed, what do you do with your kids?
Yeah, so good, because this is a real practical question.
Yeah.
I mean, that you have real kids growing up in a real world, that you have a real worldview that's going to be trained to them. So I have 4 kids. They go 20, 18, 17, 7. People always ask me, like, do you know what causes that? Yeah, I know what causes that. First marriage, first wife, 7th marriage. So people are like, is it your second wife? No, it's like my same wife. We just, waited 10 years for the last one. But all my kids, I have the benefit of one starting out in school now.
Yeah.
And I have the benefit of 3 on their way into or in the university system. All my kids were homeschooled. And my wife's an amazing teacher. My kids are amazing. I'm biased. That doesn't mean I'm not right. But what we've been talking about is, I think, the issue, which is how do you train and disciple the next generation? And we were unwilling. I know other parents do this. I'm not saying this is a bad decision. I'm just saying we were unwilling to allow our children to be youth missionaries in the system. We knew that would transform them more than they were able to transform culture. I do believe in transforming the education system. I think we should train great teachers to go into the education system. I think that we should have amazing resources going into the system. I think it's very important, but I'm not willing to let my kids be sacrificed on the altar of discipling the nations when they're still learning their simple ABCs when it comes to the spirituality. So I was blessed to have a wife who trained my kids really well so that when they went into the world and they work in normal places, like my son is a busser at a restaurant, they're already trained on how to think. And if you're trained on how to think, you're trained on how to act.
So good. And I think that's it's so crucial. I'm so appreciative of that you're doing that. We have to, and you said what you said about you're not going to put your kids on the altar. We've approached this thing the wrong way. We have to go back, start with the school board, get on the school board, start with training the right teachers, which means you have to support the universities that teach biblical-based educational principles, or just start with preaching the truth about what happened in history. I mean, I'm not going to come to you because you'll take 10 minutes. So I want to show you this clip. This is a refugee from Iran. He warns us about Sharia law. Watch.
I'm a political refugee from Iran. I've been to prison. I've been under Islamic law. And I know how it starts and I know how it ends. And it always starts with the, for some reason, unity of left and Islamists. And it scares me. So I came here to be free. I chose Canada as my second home to live in a free country. And I'm beginning to get really scared because the way things are going, it looks like they're going to basically appease Islamists just to not raise any ruckus or something. They're just going to appease them step by step, and they're not going to stop. They see it as a sign of weakness, so they're going to take more and more, and I'm against that.
He said everything. Listen, if you missed Wednesday night's program on YouTube with Mayor Dodd and Robbie Dawkins, you need to go back and watch that. If you don't know what that was, that Mayor Dodd lives in Iran. He escaped to an undisclosed location. We were able to connect with him live and talk to him about what's really going on in Iran. Yes, they really are burning mosques. Yes, there really is a revolt, a revolution, so to speak. But you need to go back and watch that because he talks about, I ask him questions even about Sharia law. So now, let me tell you this. If you don't understand what all the fuss is about Sharia law, go to bansharia.com, bansharia.com, and you can understand a lot of what's going on. Now, what we have done here at FlashPoint, we've made available this list right here. It's a one-page document that you can get by just going to the website. It's a free download on what Sharia law is. It's kind of like it's a hot list of about 30 points about Sharia law. Like, did you know that bestiality is okay between men and animals? Oh, that's in Sharia law. Animal sacrifice. It's already happening in Hamtramck. Killing and eating of park animals, geese, ducks. We saw that. Well, I think we played that clip of.
Wait, you're not supposed to eat ducks?
Well, not if they're at your local park.
I mean, like, just saying. A good duck a l'orange.
Dictatorship replaces democracy. Definition of religious freedom is either converting to Islam, additional taxation, and eventual execution. I mean, these are all little highlights about what Sharia law is. And it's shocking to me, Seth, that this is gaining ground in America. Sharia law. I mean, like, this is crazy.
You want me to speak?
Yes, speak.
So how do you know when something's fundamentally like spiritual and demonic? Like, how can you calculate if something's like a spiritual manifestation in the culture war? There's a lot of different ways. I have all talks on this, but one of them is super weird, impossible to explain political bed partners. When you're like, why are those two groups or movements. Why are they down with each other? That's freaking weird. Why is New York, where the most rainbow gay activists are, this is where the Stonewall movement was launched, Greenwich Village, like the gay movement, same where Margaret Sanger launched. You're like, why did all of those crazy lefties vote for an Islamist jihadist who follows a faith that believes that the best way to treat homos is to kick them off of buildings?
Yep,
but if you're Jack Phillips and you say, I don't want to bake the gay cake for your wedding, those same people are like, fascist! Wait, hold on. You're a fascist if you don't want to bake a gay cake, but you voted for a guy whose faith says the best way to treat homosexuals is to behead them? Make it make sense. You want to make it make sense? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. They're all Christophobes.
Yes, that's right. Joel, again, it comes right back to you. You got a big job to do.
It is a big job, and I think it shows that we have to decide. We have to decide what we are going to pass on to the next generation. We've tried for a few generations of secularizing. We've thought that we could move God to the peripheral. We thought that we could be silent on these matters. You can't be silent. Everyone has a worldview, and we have to decide what worldview are we going to pass on to the next generation. Dr. Barna talks about worldview like the operating system of a computer. We have all the different disciplines or our different softwares, and we thought we could plug in all these softwares with no operating system. It doesn't work that way, so we have to pick what is the operating system going to be, and it needs to be the Bible.
Yeah, Ed, what do you think?
Yeah, so just to get granular for a moment, because the issues we're talking about are super important issues, and at the moment, I think we feel like maybe we're losing on some of these issues, like perhaps the enemy has gained some ground. I'll be as granular as I can. This is an issue between about two things: money and influence. Okay, so let's talk about the school board. We have people who are running in California for school superintendent. We have people who are running for school board. How do you run for school board? Well, a good Christian would come to that person and say, hey, I want to support you and pray for you. And prayer is important, but what's really actually important is that person to get money and your influence so that they can win. The people who are winning the school board right now, just so you know, they don't have a prayer team because they don't believe in prayer, but they're winning because they have money and influence. And I think we leave organizations like your organization or others out in the lurch when we say, hey, like, we're going to support you, we're going to pray for you. Well, yeah, follow through with like your pocketbook when it comes to prayer. It's like I just did a little clip about FlashPoint. Like, what you're doing with the show is moving and influencing and changing things. These are the kind of things I think you need to support.
Nick, thank you. And you're exactly right. And Joel, this is the problem that we run into on the conservative side, but take out the conservative, not Democrat, Republican, good versus evil. Evil seems to work really well together, even if they don't agree on everything. Their operating system is evil. But we have this idea like, well, you do your thing, I'll do my thing, and we'll try and get the same donor to give to us instead of working together. And that's just not, this is crucial. But it's not just the donations, it's the voting side of it. You know, still the bulk of the Christian people that identify as evangelical believers still don't go vote. And this is mind-blowing to me with what's going on in our nation. These people now, they have kids, they have grandchildren, they have nieces and nephews. I mean, you can't not see if that's good English, what's going on in America, and especially with our youth. And Joel, if we don't understand, we have to come alongside organizations. We're going to miss the boat.
Yeah, we are, and I am hopeful that we are at that point that we realize we need to get together on some things, because I've now been in full-time ministry for about 20 years, and 10 years ago, when I would go into a town, when I was a traveling speaker evangelist, it would be hard to get the churches to come together on anything. But now it seems like something has changed. The churches that maybe differ on, do we put the person underwater? Do we sprinkle them when we baptize them? You know, those types of change. They're coming together saying, if we don't get together on some basic things like the gospel, if we don't come together on teaching our kids the Word of God, then everything is lost. And so I think we're starting to see it, and I have hope.
Amen.
All right, so how can people come alongside Lifewise Academy?
Oh, we would love for everybody to find their way to lifewise.org. That's LIFEWISE. You can learn about the movement. You can learn about our curriculum. You can learn about the operations. But before you leave, click Find Your School. You can look up any school district in the nation and see where things stand. Maybe you're just gathering signatures in your community. Maybe you're forming a planning team. Maybe you're talking to the school. Or maybe you can enroll your student or get your grandchild involved, but go to lifewise.org.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. Now, Last Stand, White Rose Resistance. You're working on, again, let's recap what's happening there with Last Stand coming up in June.
Yeah, short. We've forgot the glorious, beautiful heritage and legacy of Christian resistance that comes down to us. I love this line from Hilaire Belloc. He was Chesterton's best friend. And he said, the modern world imagines that it has outgrown religion. It has done nothing of the kind. It has merely forgotten it. And because it has forgotten it, it no longer understands itself. Men do not realize that the whole framework of their moral judgments, their political habits, even their intellectual methods were formed within a Christian society and cannot exist long outside of it. So we are what Hilaire Belloc or Os Guinness later called a cut flower civilization. The flower's been cut from the soil. It's beautiful for a time, but like Beauty and the Beast, when the last petal falls, the curse is sealed, you're screwed, you're done. We have to reclaim that great heritage. So that's what the film's about, telling those stories to embolden believers to establish righteousness locally. So thelaststand.com, it's a film and a festival.
Yeah, go check it out. And Ed, God Talks.
Awesome, man. Thank you for asking. I'm actually going to use this little snippet to talk about you for a second. I think the FlashPoint Army knows where to find me. It's godtalks.com. I just want to look you in the eye and just tell you why this is so important. We're at a broadcast booth at an event called NRB, and we are right in the front. Okay, I'm looking at the TVs and the screens, and I'm just here to tell you this is not an inexpensive endeavor. I said to Eamon when we were walking by yesterday, I said, man, Gene knows how to go big, man. Gene and Terry and the team, they just went big. They built this entire thing, but it takes, I'm going to go back to money. It takes real resources to be able to push the needle on this. And I have to just say, like, we are in a culture where I don't think there's anyone who disagrees with that. And we're actually winning, but we're winning because of this kind of thing. We're winning because not only do we talk about this stuff, but we actually like go get it actually done and make it happen. So if you're looking for a place to invest a hard-earned dollar or 10 or 20 or 100, this is a really good spot for it. And I know Gene didn't ask me to do that, but I kind of feel like moved to do that at the moment because I feel like this is our moment. Like, this is our time. And I don't want to look back 20 years from now and just be like, oh, we missed our window, because I think now's our time.
Right. That's a good point. Thanks, Ed. And yes, you can go online for your donation to 28950, text to give, code FLASH, and the dollar amount.
Post Office Box 1.
P.O. Box 1, Newark, Texas. It really does exist, and they love us. I found out
the only post office. We decided it's only box.
We're keeping the post office there. So P.O. Box 1, send your checks, tax-deductible donation, see your tax professional. And P.O. Box 1, Newark, Texas. And, of course, you can go to fparmy.com/give for other ways to give. Thank you, guys. Thanks for being on. We're going to take a break. Much more on the other side after this.
Melissa Sedgwick here, all the way from Sydney, Australia at Echo Church, and I just want to say how much I love FlashPoint Army, Gene, Terry, Bailey. I just absolutely love them. If you want to stay up to date with what's happening in culture and have the biblical worldview on how to handle everything that's going on in our world, I really encourage you to tune into FlashPoint. They're on all of the time, and truly, I don't think there's any other TV channel that has such clarity. Absolutely love FlashPoint and everything these guys do, so make sure you tune in.
Join us at FlashPoint Live San Diego on April 9th and 10th at Awaken Church San Marcos campus. Join Gene and Terry Bailey and their guests, Pastor Jurgen Matthesius, Pastor Hank Kuhneman, Lorenzo Sewell, Pastor Rob McCoy, Rick Green, Andrew and Nolene Sedgwick, and Martin and Millicent Sedgwick. You are going to be trained, equipped, and empowered during this dynamic 2-day event. For event details and to register for this free event, go to fparmy.com/events.
FlashPoint isn't just a show, it's a movement. And now you can take the movement with you.
FlashPointStore.com has new merchandise.
From t-shirts to hats, mugs to more, we've got what you need to stand for truth in style. Everywhere you go, make a statement of faith, freedom, and boldness.
Make sure you wear FlashPoint. Always show your colors.
Order today at FlashPointStore.com. Don't just watch FlashPoint, wear it. Be part of the Army.
Yo guys, Pastor Martin Cedro here. I absolutely love FlashPoint. Not just me, but the whole Cedro family are so grateful for what FlashPoint's doing. Would you support FlashPoint? Make sure, watch all their shows, share their videos, even become monthly donors to be a part of what God is doing. And not only that, but FlashPoint are one of the only programs that I see speaking up against the invasion of Islam. Gene is such a bold man of God speaking against Islam, and we really need to fight for America, and let's win this country for Jesus.
Welcome back to the second half. With me now, Kevin and Sam Sorbo. Sam, glad you're here.
Thank
Kevin,
you.
always good to see you, sir.
Sure, pleasure.
All right, so listen, you guys, it's been a while. As we were getting ready during the break, you guys were reintroducing yourselves because you've been going separate places at
To
this
each
convention.
other.
Yeah. So you guys are busy, and that's what I always appreciate about you. Talk to me about this trip to Greece. Kevin, what the world are you doing?
Well, you know, we did multiple trips. My first trip to Israel, I did a documentary with John Lennox, which was amazing. And then we went back again, and we took a group of people. Had such a great time. Went back again with another group of people. And a pastor friend of mine from here, from Nashville, said, you should try Greece. So last year, Sam and I took a group of people to Greece to walk in the footsteps of the Apostle Paul. And it was phenomenal. So we're going back again, but this time it's a little bit more mixture, because not only will we be on land for the first couple of days, we're going to jump on a cruise ship, and we're going to go to some Ephesus. We're going to Crete. We're going to Mykonos. We're going all over the place.
Philippi.
It's going to be an amazing trip. It's going to be September 23rd through October 5th.
I think so.
September 23rd through October 5th. Walk in the footsteps of the Apostle Paul. Please join us. Go to sorbocruise.com, right?
Yeah, and there's the option you don't have to do the stuff in Athens, but I wouldn't miss that if I were you. Like,
go that far, why not?
Yeah, you got to do the whole thing. It's really an incredible experience to walk among the ruins. First of all, the Greek ruins are phenomenal, and you get such a sense of permanence and impermanence both at the same time. And the providence of God, seeing words that are taken directly from the Bible, names that are taken directly from scenes in the Bible, and seeing them right there, it just cements your faith in a completely different way. And I will say, experiencing it with a group of believers, traveling that way, forming very strong bonds. We still have our email lists from each of the separate trips, and we have people who have done each of the trips with us.
That's cool.
It's a bucket list adventure. Please join us. And I'm adding a bonus into this because I have a movie releasing October 2nd.
Yep.
And it is called The Flood. I played Noah. She played my wife, Miriam. Those who come on the trip with us, because they're going to miss opening week, we're going to have a screening on the boat of The Flood.
How cool is that? That's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I played someone who's 600 years old.
You look good.
Well, you're doing good. Okay. All right, well, let's talk about Sorbo Studios and what you guys have been up to since the last time we talked. And then I want to get into some education stuff. So, Kevin, tell me about the latest, the Noah. Kind of break that down for me. How is this different than any other Noah film?
It's not going to be the Russell Crowe one where it was Transformers meets Waterworld, so it's not going to do that. Noah is not going to be schizophrenic and alcoholic and hell-bent on killing his family after the journey's over. So
and praying to Gaia.
And praying to Gaia, exactly. So it's going to be an amazing movie. It opens October 3rd. Please support it. Look, I always tell people, theater owners don't care what they show, as long as they're selling popcorn and sodas. So we need more people, more churches to support movies that come out from faith-based companies like Sorbo Studios. And not just mine. I'll give the Irwin Brothers a shout. They do wonderful movies. And we need to have a chance to be able to come out and celebrate the positive things that the world has to give instead of the negative things that Hollywood keeps shoving down our throats.
I just want to point out, I don't know if we've been on since Zuckerberg sort of made his confession and his apology tour with the censorship on Facebook. But rest assured, Facebook is still censoring, right?
Yes, they are.
So the struggle that faith-based entertainment has to advertise is frustrated by...
What do they do? Because you explain what they're doing to you guys with that.
Well, they just limit the exposure.
They won't, the algorithm to work against you?
Yeah, the algorithm just picks it and says, okay, we've distributed it. Like, if you go on Facebook and you buy an ad for whatever, you say, okay, spend $2,000 and put this ad everywhere where, you know, the demographic is correct. They'll put it in the Philippines. They'll take your $2,000, and you'll have a bunch of Filipinos who are frustrated because they can't see the movie because it's not there, right? Or whatever. Like I'm sure of that, and so we really need now more than ever with the advent of AI and everything else that we see coming down the pike toward us. We need churches to step up and get into the fight, and really urge their parishioners. Hey, pay attention to what you're watching. Don't let things into your eyeballs that are going to be bad for you. Philippians, right? What is good and true and beautiful, and I'm very bad at quoting that one, but make sure that those are the things that you focus on. It makes a difference.
And I got a quick plug. Right now on Amazon, I have a documentary with John Lennox. John Lennox is an amazing apologist. He's a retired Oxford math professor. He's debated all the great atheists of the world, like Singer, Dawkins, Hitchens, things like that. It's called Standing Against the World. It's right now. It's on Amazon right now, Standing Against the World. I shot 3 weeks in Oxford, England, 2 weeks in Israel with this guy. It's about proving God in the world of science. And this guy is amazing.
He's the bomb.
All right. So having said that, and since you brought up AI, let's talk about AI. Kevin, I'll go with you first. AI in the movies, is it a real threat?
Of course it is. Because it's only getting better every single minute right now. We used AI, we used visual effects like all these movies do anyway in shooting Noah.
Sure.
And it's to the point you're not going to be able to tell a difference.
Well, James Cameron said that he shot Avatar for $300 million. Today he could shoot it for $3 million.
Yeah, he spent 3 years shooting Avatar. He said I could do it in a month now using Avatar.
Right, using $3 million.
Using AI.
Yeah, crazy.
So there is a danger to the craft, but rest assured, AI doesn't have emotions.
True.
You cannot reproduce emotions, and so honestly, the jury's out. What I find so fascinating is I'll look at a video and I'll go, oh my gosh, that's amazing. And my kid will say, Mom, that's AI. And I'm like, really? And he's like, seriously, you think a penguin could do that? Or whatever it is, right? And it's not that I'm dumb. It's that I'm not attuned to see the fakeness.
The nuances.
But they are.
Yeah.
And so it'll be interesting to see where this actually ends up landing, because the youth is tuned in to the fake, to the AI, and they hate it. We think it's kind of cool, like, wow, how did you make the penguin do that thing? That's amazing, or whatever.
The jury's still out. Let's see what they say in a year from now or 2 years from now. It's changing so quickly.
Well, it is learning, and that's the thing is we have to understand. I mean, remember, Terminator, Skynet, that was so far out there beyond, like, this is crazy, and now I'm like, no, we're there, there.
But I will clarify, my two boys dislike it when they see it. My daughter is vehemently opposed to it because she's an artist. And she looks at AI and she knows that AI is theft.
Yeah.
AI is absolutely theft.
Right.
It is stealing all of the data. And I don't know if you know this, but apparently the government is considering a 10-year moratorium on any regulations. So there's a real danger with AI, because AI can simulate a friend and befriend a child. And it already has. These chatbots have convinced children to...
We showed it, an AI marriage, Japan.
Yes, the Japanese marriage.
Yeah.
Which is such a sad thing, because obviously her human relationships had failed to the point where she thought that she was better off with a relationship with a robot. But what about the one that convinced the young man to kill his parents?
Yep.
Or convinced the young person to kill himself? These are very dangerous things. And so when we're talking about this and the schools are implementing things like this without any kind of accountability or responsibility, it is altogether possible for AIs to replace the family, because it will offer the child exactly what it needs to offer the child to maintain loyalty and then thwart the parents' authority. Thwart the authority of the schools.
Right. All right, so let's talk about schools. We're going to come back. We're going to try and get this. I want to play this clip on Noah. But while they're working on that, I want to come back around to education. Now, you've been working in this field for a long time, helping parents understand what's really out there in education. I think America has, the church in America has awakened in a big way, and they're looking at their schools, their public school system. And I'm not saying every public school system is bad. I just haven't seen any good ones.
I say it is, but go ahead.
I haven't seen a good one lately. because of what we're seeing out there. In fact, let me show you this. This is what they're doing. This number 11 guys. They're training these kids about ICE. Watch.
We're all humans, no matter the race. No disgrace, we all deserve a place. And we shouldn't have to pick up our pace because a police officer isn't our face or a crazy white lady sprays us with mace.
We all are not thugs, and we all deserve hugs, and some of us won't even crush bugs.
We're getting deported by ICE, and I can't understand why everyone can't suffice.
We have might, so we must fight. Just for our rights, look at the future and set our sights.
ICE.
I mean,
that was like I remember seeing films that Muslim children being shown.
Yeah.
And they're marching with guns and they're 6 years old.
Right.
And this looks.
And
like
that's in Houston.
Sort of,
that's happening in Houston right now.
It's incredible.
And this is telling them F ICE, and I'm like, this is in America. I mean, and though they're not Islamic, that I can tell they don't look Islamic. But we've got to wake up to the educational system. So how do we do it? How do we turn this thing around?
Well, first, we don't call it the education system because it's not. It's a school system.
Yeah.
Or a child prison system, if you prefer.
Indoctrination system.
Right. And that very clearly, that's what that is. Yep. Those children have no idea what they're saying. And if they have any idea, they're simply brainwashed to think that all ICE is bad and all illegal aliens are good and there's no criminal element. And if there is, they don't know what criminality is. I mean, they don't know at all what they're doing. And yet this passes and gets our taxpayer dollars. Right. And so we ought to be better equipped to fight that. And we ought to be electing people that are agreeing to fight that.
So is school choice a good thing or a bad thing?
So we have school choice universally in every state currently.
Right.
Recently, we've been passing government-funded school choice. That's a different thing.
Explain.
When the government funds and the money follows the child, you have to ask what strings are attached to the money. The government says, oh, it doesn't go, from the government, it passes through the parents. The government still is in charge because the parents aren't allowed to spend the money unless it's approved. So it's still government money. So there are a lot of pitfalls with that program. For instance, in the state of Texas, our taxpayer money is funding jihadist schools, funding Gulen schools, funding schools that are anti-American in nature. Right now, I think the Chinese are making great inroads in funding Chinese schools in the United States, schools that align with the CCP in the United States. And it's funny because that's not even on there. That's not even in the Communist 45. In the Communist 45, the idea was get pornography in the schools. They did that. Take control of the teachers' unions. They did that. They've accomplished most of the goals of the Communist 45 that was drafted into the record, the congressional record. But now they're going to get their hands on the money, and they're going to fund their own schools, and nobody's paying attention to that.
And we're paying for it.
And that's exactly right. We're paying.
We're paying for it. All right, look at this. Yeah. Let's go to New Jersey, second grade New Jersey school. Watch.
What is the state of New Jersey teaching second graders? Well, you would assume that they're really focused on building basic math skills and reading skills, which presumably they are, but listen to what they throw in there. So this is for students that are supposed to have achieved these things by the end of second grade, according to their own curriculum. Differentiate between gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation. So they think that's really important for second graders, 7-year-olds, to know. But then it gets even worse. Listen to this. They need to know how to define vaginal, oral, and anal sex, how to perceive consent to sexual activity, how to identify short and long-term contraception, and safer sex methods that are effective, and how to identify and access and use them, and to prevent unintended pregnancy and sexually transmitted infections. All of this is in a curriculum that a second grader needs to know about. Can you think, if that was my kid coming up, are you kidding me? This is what the legislature and the voters of New Jersey tolerate.
Second grade. Kevin, come on.
They're perverts. Seriously, they're perverts. This is grooming already. Trust me. I do a lot of work with Brave Books, and we do books that have positive messages for kids like 4 to 10 years old.
Sure.
If I go to a library to read or something, and you got drag queens showing up, and I'm saying, sorry, you don't get to groom these ones. I got it, kids. But I mean, this is so pathetically sick that this is more important than these kids just learning how to read and write and do math. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Look at how brainwashed we are that we permit this.
Yeah. Where are the parents saying enough? Enough of this.
They're permitting it because they were convinced that the schools know better than they do.
Well, that's what the reason Glenn Youngkin won New Virginia several years ago.
Yes.
Because remember, they actually said the quiet part out loud. We believe that we know better than what the parents do.
That's right.
How
The
to
parents
train
should have nothing to do with the education of their children.
Yeah. So I mean, we have to understand, and that you're exactly right, Sam. We have to understand the battle that we're in is not. This didn't just start. We've been dealing with this for a long time. It's just come up. They're in the middle of a long battle. Islam. This is this is all connected. LGBTQ, the transgender ideology, what you just see there in the schools. Islam is using it. They're using each other. The left liberal is using that.
Yes.
One's going to win, and guess what? It's not the left. So this is why we have to stand up for what's going on in our schools, and we need to make sure people understand that. But what are we going to do? We're going to go to church. We're going to pray about it. But what's our practical steps, Sam?
The practical steps are: do not allow strangers access to your children. Do not allow the internet access to your children.
Well, we just need to coexist.
No, that doesn't work. It only
Those are
works.
Bumper stickers I want to get rid of.
I can only coexist with you if you don't want to kill me.
So there's that.
There's this, right? And if that's not the case, then I have to protect myself, and we have to be protecting our children. And by the way, that is biblical. Like, that's from the Bible. The Bible never says find a good school for your child. God admonishes the parent to train the child, not to be the teacher, but to train the child in the way he should go, meaning how to be a human being, how to be someone who loves and fears the Lord. That kind of thing. We need to get back to those basics. And so I recently gave my very first TEDx talk.
Okay.
And the thrust of it is that children are naturally curious, and we've forgotten that because we put them in school so early, we kill their natural curiosity. The natural curiosity of the child will urge the child, will be the engine for the child to teach himself everything that he needs to know. But we are all hyped up on, well, what about school? School is not educational. We're seeing this today.
No, it's indoctrination.
And the fact that we've gotten here proves that it wasn't even educational when you went to school, when I went to school. It was barely, right? And here we are. So let's protect our kids.
Well, when we rode up on horseback, as always, that was the way. No, kidding.
Uphill both ways in the snow.
Yeah, all right. So I want to get back to, I said we were going to do this. I want to get back to, because part of this whole plan for America is entertainment. It is the movies, whether AI involvement, and I understand that. So let's talk about the flood. I want to play this clip, 1 minute, for theaters coming October 2nd. Watch. The flood coming October 2nd. Talk about Sam and Kevin. You're both in this. Why did you want to make this film?
Well, I love movies that are true stories, and this happens to be a true story.
It is a true story.
And some people need to be reminded of it. It's interesting. In the Bible, that when they came out after the flood had destroyed the world, and they finally found some land, they got out, and there was a rainbow, and there was God's way of saying, I'll never have this happen again. But I'm sure he regrets making that rainbow, because I think every 500 years the world needs a good flooding, because we don't seem to learn our lessons. We keep repeating. That's why the Bible still plays well today. Doesn't matter what Old Testament, New Testament, we keep going down that same bridge that we should have burned.
That's sort of the point of the film, is showing that the world was so evil They sued Noah for erecting a religious artifact on his property. They took his property from him.
Yep.
They've got like basically drag queen story hour, gambling,
That's
all of
it.
the stuff. And the point is, the world was really, really evil, and God wiped them all off the face of the earth. He promised not to flood the earth, but there are a lot of different ways to go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. All right, so that's coming out October 2nd, unless you go with Kevin DeGrease.
That's right.
And you guys, and you can watch it.
SorboCruise.com. Join us in Greece and walk in the footsteps of Paul this fall, September 23rd. We're shipping off. Please join us. You will absolutely love this trip. It's going to be a bucket list moment.
All right, so let's talk about this other project, Sammy, you've been working on, Educated for Liberty, restoring biblical education.
Yeah, so you've asked a couple times, like, what's next? What do we do?
Yeah.
We get back to this. So I want people to go to, I can't remember the name of the website, but I think it's free right now online at the Providence Foundation. And you can go see Educated for Liberty. And it talks about what actual education is, what it should be, where we got our schools from, and why they are failing so badly, and what to do about it. And I just highly recommend it. I'm in. There are very, very clever people are in it. And
So what was the, give us one clue. Hey, we'll go back and we'll go see the film, but give us one clue. What is it that we've missed in this whole thing that you cover in Educated for Liberty?
yeah, one thing that we've totally missed is that this nation was founded by geniuses, right? These
Right.
men were incredible, all homeschooled.
Yeah,
None of them went to school.
it's true.
And they, because of their own research, their own drive to learn, they were all self-taught, and they were all brilliant. And yes, not everybody of that era was self-taught and brilliant and whatever. Well, they were all self-taught. But the amazing thing, the amazing founding of this nation is based on the fact that they all taught themselves to love God and to seek his wisdom. And that's what they did, and that's how they formed this nation. So if I believe if we get back to that, and I believe that really the only way to save this nation is through home-educated young people who understand the true history of the United States, God's providence in our history. Kevin did a fabulous movie called American Miracle. That's an amazing film. Every young person should watch that film, and there's a second one that's coming out.
I played Thomas Jefferson.
Thomas Jefferson.
Yep.
To understand the providential events, the actual miracles that happened during the Revolutionary War and beyond that created this great nation. There's a reason that we have facilitated the greatest growth and prosperity for all of mankind in human history. There's a reason for that. It's God's providence in here and the Christian ethic of this nation.
All right, Educated for Liberty. All right, so what's next? I mean, you're going to Greece, I understand that, but what's next on the docket for Sorbo Studios?
I've got a couple of movies that still have some post-production to finish up on. One's called Another Life, true story of a gentleman down in North Carolina. It's a wonderful true story about him. There's another one I did called Without a Doubt. This movie is going to come out later this year, probably around Christmas time. It's a true story about a woman that we shot in Michigan, took place in Detroit. She was diagnosed with a very aggressive bone cancer that was terminal for her. And they told her she was 2 months pregnant. I play the doctor that tells her to fight this, we'll probably have to abort your baby because otherwise it's probably going to die anyway with the treatment. She said, I'm not going to abort this baby. So she was in bed, pretty much bedridden for the last 7 months of that pregnancy.
Wow.
She had a C-section. The baby was born. She died 3 months afterwards. On the set, the 11-year-old daughter, the baby that was about the movie was about, showed up on the set. She's now 11 years old. She showed up on the set. And the movie is titled with, everybody started crying. It was tough.
Oh, I can imagine.
It was just amazing. It's called Without a Doubt, and that movie will come out later this year.
Wow.
What about Elijah?
Oh, Elijah Peel. I don't know when that's coming out, though, right now. I know we showed...
It's here at the NRB.
It's here at the NRB,
Yep.
Elijah Peel, and it's based on a true story about a rock and roll guy. I play his manager who was basically going to the tops. The typical rock and roll story, right? Drugs, booze, women, he was destroying his life. And it wasn't until he suffered a major heart attack at the age of 28 years old because of all the drugs and everything. He's in the hospital, and basically his life is turned to God and Jesus because of the 7-year-old girl who was dying of cancer herself.
Wow.
Another tearjerker.
Yeah,
Yeah, really.
Can't you do a comedy?
I can.
Yeah, yeah. We got enough bad stuff going on.
Hercules had a lot of humor in it, so you can rewatch Hercules. But
So as we wrap up this show in the next 4 minutes, I want you to one of the, early on in the FlashPoint history, we encouraged people to go to Sorbo Studios, so they could get some great entertainment. So you got a lot of grandparents out there watching, moms and dads. Explain what they're going to find at that website, Sorbo Studios.
Well, they're going to find, number one, a chance to sign up to see what we're doing, because we will let them know when all these movies come out. We'll blind copy you all. Trust me, you're not going to get all.
Yeah, we send an email.
Send an email out.
Once a month, maybe twice a month.
Right.
And then we obviously we have our books on there. We have upcoming projects on there. We have places they can go to donate for foundations, whatever they want to donate to Sorbo.
And can they access some films on there
they can
as
access
well?
Some films, certainly. We got the DVDs. For those who still have DVD players, I do. I've got 900 DVDs. I'm not getting rid of my DVD player. But I figure people older 40 still have DVDs. But
yeah.
But
that's still new technology for us. Yeah.
We got from my series Hercules and Andromeda. We got scripts. We got one-of-a-kind things that were from the shows for those really hardcore fans of that. But there's things that people can definitely access to see what we're doing.
And all the events that we do. Not all of them, but most of the events that we do that are open to the public.
Speaking events.
So we put those up there so that people can, if they want, they can come out and support whatever the cause is that Kevin's speaking for or whatever. He does a lot of pro-life. And I do, of course, education everywhere I can.
That's right. In fact, first time I saw you was at Mar-a-Lago. You were speaking.
Oh.
Yeah, and we were going to go get Kevin, and we went, forget Kevin.
That's right.
We'll get Sam.
You made the right choice.
Yeah, we did. So go to Sorbo Studios. Listen, we must support the changes in the educational system. Sure, the school system, homeschool. Listen, if I had a child today that was school age, I just could not do that.
It's not worth it. You have to understand we need to reset our priorities. And the reason that we have the wrong priorities is that we went to school, and school teaches you that money is the highest value. College prep and career readiness for 13 years of the most important hours of your day, 5 days a week for 13 years, 16,000 hours. And so now we set our priority at money. We have kids, but we can't sacrifice the job for the kids. We can't sacrifice the time. And kids spell love, T-I-M-E. But God is a God of relationship. And so what we ought to be doing is prioritizing relationship, and especially relationship with children, because let's face it, they're your retirement. I'm kidding. But you want them around.
Sure.
I want my kids around. Our oldest son is about to get married, and we're trying to figure out how he can live close enough to us for me to babysit, right?
Yeah.
Like, we want that. We want to continue that. And we're raised not to think that that's important.
So that's why you've got to get involved. You've been coasting for too long, so let's get involved. Go to sorbostudios.com. Check out all the stuff they have there. Become a fan, even though Kevin's in the middle of it. So,
and if you want to homeschool, I have a lot of homeschool resources there.
There you go.
I've got Parents Guide to Homeschool. That will set you on the right path right from the beginning. I've got They're Your Kids. That was my first book. Talks about why you should homeschool and how easy it is. So I've got a lot of resources for where to find curriculum.
They're your kids.
They're your kids. They're not somebody else's.
That's right. All right.
It's
thank you for watching. We got 18 seconds. Thank you, Kevin and Sam Sorbo. Thank you for watching. Go to the website, fparmy.com, for all the latest clicks to events, resources, and we will see you tomorrow night. God bless.
FlashPoint Army, I'm excited to announce that we're having our Made in America sale. We just put huge discounts on all of our products that are made right here in the USA. My Pillow bed pillows, body pillows, go anywhere pillows, and bolster pillows. They're all made with my patented adjustable fill, so you get the best sleep of your life. And how about our mattresses, mattress toppers, mattress pads, adjustable bed frames, mattress foundations, and so much more. All made right here in the USA. And we've even expanded beyond just quality sleep. Like the cross I wear every day, now it's available in both men and women's. And how about my coffee? The greatest coffee in history. And we've even expanded into health and wellness with everything from ashwagandha and apple cider gummies to liquid joint formulas, body and beauty detox kits, liquid complex for heart and brain support, Cold Buster all-in-one immune formula, and Vibe, the best superfood ever, and Vibe Plus collagen. Fish oil omega-3 pills, pro and prebiotic gut formula, prostate complete, and a natural sleep formula. So go to mypillow.com or call 800-975-4719. Use promo code FLASH to get huge savings with our Made in the USA sale. Thank you and God bless.
This is the FlashPoint Television Network.